Is witch hunter too strong a word? I know you made some comments yourself about the way that Newsnight, I think it was, were highlighting Boris Johnson's woes this week.
Look, I think this thing is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's very clear that in Downing Street there were, I think there are 300 pass holders in 100 different rooms, and it's quite clear that throughout lockdown, those people were working in what was really effectively a military headquarters. And some of these young civil servants absolutely were blurring the lines between work and play, and there was an alcohol culture and so on and so forth. Of that, there is no doubt. But what we've seen over the last 6 months is the media piling in, desperate to sort of present the Prime Minister as a sort of, Ibiza club DJ partying all the time, when actually the reality is that after a police investigation and the Sue Gray report, what have they actually come up with? They've come up with him being fined for being given a birthday cake in a room where he was having a meeting, and he was about to have another meeting, and civil servants, not his mates, civil servants, people he worked with. So we're in a position now where the Prime Minister's reputation has been trashed because he received a birthday cake and because he held a glass of wine once, I think, with people he worked with. Look, if there was a party with his friends, or he'd invited people like me up to his flat, that would be a completely different thing. But these were people he worked with. They weren't talking about Strictly. They were talking about infection rates and advertising campaigns and health service capacity. And I think the way this has been reported over the last 6 months has been extraordinary. I mean, even Newsnight had a program where for a good 5 or 7 minutes or something, they spoke about a party in Downing Street the day before Prince Philip's funeral. And it took them that long to point out that Boris was actually at Chequers. So I really think that what's happened here is he's kind of being blamed for the behaviour of some civil servants. But, he's not the office manager. He's the leader of a nuclear-armed state, and that's what he was voted in to be.
Do you think, Adam, and I totally hear that, by the way, I understand the birthday cake thing, of all things, did seem rather curious. You get a fine for your own surprise birthday. However, these are the conclusions we know now, a lot of the information you've just given. As this story was building, first it went away, then the Met Police said, we are going to investigate, so that became a real taster for the media, didn't it? The idea that this story is now going to continue. There's the Allegra Stratton video came out. Yep. There was the allegation of, a party in the back garden. Boris photographed there, whether or not it was breaking the rules. It didn't get a fine for it, so perhaps it wasn't. But it was a kind of the story by instalments, and the media are never going to leave that alone, are they?
No, but, I used to be, a journalist, and, it's about actually seeking out the truth. And I think everyone's been so desperate to find Boris guilty of sort of hosting parties and things, that we've actually lost sight of the reality here. I mean, Boris is the leader of a nuclear-armed state, as I've said. He's going from one meeting to another. Prime Minister, you're speaking to President Biden now. Prime Minister, you need to speak to the chairman of your constituency association. Prime Minister, you've got to prepare your speech for this. Oh, Prime Minister, would you come outside, please, and thank 4 different groups of people for the work they've been doing? And yet the media really went off on one with this. I mean, let me show you a photograph that was actually on Newsnight, believe it or not. I don't know if you can see this. Sarah, is that correctly positioned?
Yeah,
right,
yep.
So that was on Newsnight for a whole programme. Now, that's making the Prime Minister look like Hannibal Lecter. I would think your viewers would agree with me. Yeah. And that's almost symbolic, I think, of what's happened here. And I think it's really, really dangerous, because we're now in a position where lots of good Conservative MPs have been hearing, from decent people in their constituencies who've been fed this stuff month after month. And it's almost become a truism. I mean, I'm sure if I went, around any street in London and I went up to people, I'd say, tell me about Boris Johnson's parties. And they'd all say, absolutely outrageous, blah, blah. They wouldn't say, as you did, that actually what they finally got him for was being ambushed by a birthday cake. And this is really dangerous. We could lose somebody who was elected by the British people to sort out the big problems that we face. And
clearly a lot of your colleagues, I mean, not to go over the confidence vote too much because we are short of time, Adam, but a lot of your colleagues had the same feeling because they didn't back him and he didn't get the kind of support that perhaps he was hoping for in that confidence vote.
Totally, and I can understand that because I've got, good people here. A friend of mine who's a solicitor, I've just been talking to him, who really believes that, Boris was breaking the rules and living it up whilst people here were locked down. And from what we know, from what the police found out, what Sue Grace found out, that absolutely was not the case.
Got it. Listen, I hear you, Adam. Thank you.